Greetings, peace, and love. I am Sister Alexis of Divine Notary and Notary Wellness Mentor. This video is about how to become a tax preparer. I had a few questions along the way as I mentioned it, and someone suggested that I do videos on, a couple of people suggested it, and I was eventually gonna do videos on it, but I just was taking a sweet time, you know. So how to become a taxpayer. Once you've decided that this is something that you want to do, congratulate yourself, because this is a business where you will always be needed. Just like notaries. Notaries will always be needed. It's impossible to replace them in the same as a tax preparer. So once you've decided this is something that you want to do, you want to make sure that you meet state regulations, which is you have to be 18 years old, no criminal background, and willing and ready to go and do this, and you must have a high school diploma. So I did write notes today so I wouldn't go off target, and so you'll see me looking down every once in a while. So once you realize you meet those requirements, then you're going to figure out what your state's requirements are in regards to getting licensed. You will do that by just searching online how to become a tax preparer in Maryland, how to become a tax preparer in Nevada, so on and so forth, and kind of go from there. Once you realize that you do qualify, you're pretty much good to go. You either need to take the state testing if it requires. If it doesn't, then you would go on to the next step, which is find a tax preparer company to work for. There are plenty. Google the ones that are in your area and call to see if they're hiring, call to see really when their class is. Every company has their own course that they require you to take, and that could be 40 hours. Maryland is 80 hours. It could be 60 hours. You really won't know until you call to find out. So if it's, I don't want to start dropping company names, but if it's any of those companies, the major companies you see on TV, commercials and stuff like that, call one of them, or if it's close by, call them. And if they tell you what their requirements are, find out the logistics. How long the course is, what time the course would be, is it paid? Some of them are paid. They will pay you to teach. They will pay you to learn how to be a tax preparer, which is cool. If, say for instance, it's 2 weeks, if you can take the 2 weeks off from your job to do this, I would do it. A week of sick time and a week of vacation time, I would do it, because this is going to allow you to have additional money later down the line, and later money means more freedom. So what else? You qualify, you've taken the state testing, you've taken the F required, you've taken the course through the company of your choice, then you will go ahead and proceed to get a P10 number, a personal tax identification number. That number is like your social security number. So when you do a return, that number will go on the return if there is any mistakes, or you omitted your signature as a tax preparer on the copy, anything like that, the IRS knows how to contact you. You get your P10 number, P as in Peter, T as in Tom, I as in Igloo, N as in Nancy, from the IRS website. It'll ask you some questions. As long as you, I guess, don't have any issues. For instance, you can't owe taxes. If you owe taxes, you can't be a tax preparer. And if there's no issues, it'll populate immediately. You'll print it. You'll give that to the company that you're working with. Majority of the times, they'll have you apply for your P10 pretty much day one, because they want to make sure that you can actually get a P10. If you can't get a P10, then you can't work. You will probably have to just be like a tax preparer in training, or you could be a customer service rep, front desk, something of that nature, but you won't be able to do taxes, unfortunately, until you're able to get a P10 number. If you're deciding, you know, I don't want to work for anyone, I want to work for myself, I would say maybe kind of like the notary, $700, $800, $900 it would cost you to start your own business, because the software is minimum $500. And if that's what you want to do, it's perfectly fine. You would just get an EFIN number, electronic filing identification number. And you would utilize your EFIN number when you are filing someone's tax return, and you wouldn't have a P10, you would have an EFIN. So that's pretty much how that works. Let's see. You will have to get fingerprinted if you do the EFIN number. And again, you can't have any criminal background history if you're being a tax preparer anyway. The EFIN, you'll have to pay for that. It's probably the, sorry guys, the fingerprinting. There you go. It's about $50, but it could change from state to state. So just find out, you know, wherever you have fingerprinting facilities. I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm having a problem talking. You know what I find? When I write a script, I stumble more. I always kind of like, not a stutter, but like stumble over my words, because in my mind, I'm thinking several steps ahead, and then what's coming out of my mouth is like several steps behind. So I end up, you know, stumbling over my words sometimes. Or sometimes you'll hear me talk slowly, and that's because I'm really thinking about what I'm saying as I'm saying it, so, you know, I don't have to retract anything that I say. Anyway, so once you've gotten your EFIN, you're ready to roll on that end, or you've gotten your P10, you're ready to roll, you've taken your courses, then if you are working for a company, they will most likely get your business cards for you. You'll have an office or a cubicle, and you're ready to roll. Most of your information when you are will come from a publication. You'll hear us say pubs. They'll come from a publication. A publication is like a chapter in a really large book. And the chapter will talk about whatever situation you're dealing with, whether it's earned income credit, whether it's child tax credit, whether it's business income, mileage, whatever it is, all of that information will be in the publication. The publication is on the IRS websites. You can pretty much print them all, but I would print them at work. And there's nothing wrong with that, to print them at work, because it's for work purposes, and you'll need all of that information. If you have to take the test on that, some of the states allow you to bring in the publication, kind of like an open book test, and you would just need to study that like hell and highlight in advance before you are going into the test. If there is a test, you will again call your state licensing office and talk to them, and there will be an announcement. The announcement will entail all of the details about your test, what will be on it, how many points each section is. All the information will be really laid out for you, so you won't be confused. If there is a study guide for your state, I would advise you to get it. If it's a fee and you're working for a company, the company will pay for it for you. If no one mentioned it, you mention it. You mention it. And you would just study it. If you have to take the test more than once, go ahead. I did. And the reason why I had to is because I'm an individual where I'm not really sure if I know enough, you know? So you kind of like study the bare minimum to some degree, or you overstudy and then you end up missing things. So once I can see the test, then I'm like, okay, good. But it's not an easy test. I'm going to tell you that right now. It is not an easy test. So if it's kind of like the notary test, it's not a test that you can wing it, because that's not going to work. You will really need to study for it. You'll need to make flashcards. My suggestion always is get color flashcards. The brain recognizes color versus just seeing white. So don't get the white cards, get color flashcards. Thank me later. And study the real basic things first, and that way you have that full section. And some people say, well, what are the basic things? Just knowing what the requirements are for someone to file in that state, knowing who qualifies for child tax care credit, who qualifies for earned income credit, what does residency look like for an individual, your certification status, how often you have to certify for your state, what are your state fees, what are the requirements or suggestions when you have an address change for yourself as a tax preparer. Like, all of those things are really basic information. And once you have all of that, you have your business cards, you're pretty much ready to roll. The company that you're working for will make sure that you're ready. They want to support you because they don't want any issues. And if you are doing it on your own, I would suggest that you have someone, a mentor of some sort, that can help you walk through the process, because it's hard. It's not an easy task to open up your own business, especially a tax business. So I would just really make sure that you have someone that you can bounce ideas off of, you can find out information from. IRS is really helpful for individuals if they have questions about returns. So you don't have to worry about that part, but in terms of the beginning process of setting the business up, you're just going to need some support. So make sure you have a mentor to help support you through that process. So once you're certified, everything is good to go, and tax season has opened, you may have a approval process for a loan purposes that you'll have to learn as well. Like, for instance, some companies have, like I said, a loan that you can get. They'll base it on how much you made that year and then give you a loan before your taxes come out. And then once tax season opens, then they have to pay that back. You're pretty much ready to roll. Hopefully your first week you'll get some support. You will get support from the company that you're working with. And if you can shadow them if you have any questions, and then you'll pretty much be thrown in there. If you have family and friends, maybe they'll have areas where they offer free returns for your family, and your return is free, which is nice. If you've already been filing, through another company, you've probably paid a little bit, but now it's going to be completely free, which is nice. If you have previous tax returns that you want a second look at, you can have someone look at it, or you can do it yourself in your system that you have now. And in later videos, I'll do a series of videos regarding this. I'll talk about, just the office structure, the money end of it. Every company has its own structure for compensation, so I can't talk on that, but I can be very specific about what you can expect in terms of hourly wages and then your commission. All right, I hope you found this to be helpful. Go and look up your state's requirements now and get yourself ready before tax season. You need to start in December, or even November. Start in November. Usually the courses start in November. So if you can find a company that you want to work for now, start looking in November. Reach out to them. Tell them what your expectations are, what you'd like to do, and get yourself working as a tax preparer. All right. Peace and love.